Welcome into another episode of Tailgate Talk SEC. I am Will Thomas. We have got a Thursday transfer portal update. Now, a lot has been happening, really both this morning, but also last night on Wednesday the 7th, so we'll cover all of that. But going back to what did become official late last night to start here, Jayden Woods, the elite true freshman edge rusher from Florida, is staying in Gainesville. Now, he did officially enter the portal, but it was reported that was not because of, financial reasons. It wasn't because somebody was going to pay him more. It was more personal reasons, right? Homesickness was reported, just things like that. So Woods went on a visit to Texas. It was long thought that he was going to end up at Texas, but he left that visit uncommitted, which left the door open. And then John Summerall, the defensive coordinator, some more coaches went with Summerall to visit Jayden Woods in Kansas. And now he's re-signed to come back to Gainesville next year. It's a massive retention for Summerall and the Gators. And now you look at the pieces that Florida's brought back. It's really all of their key players that people highlighted at the beginning of this cycle, saying, these are the guys that Napier needs to prioritize. They're all coming back. It's an incredible job by John Summerall to retain all of those players. And Florida's roster, man, even this past year when they only won 4 games, the roster was never, barren of talent. It was always evident how many good football players were on that roster. Now, we're in the era where the turnarounds can happen really fast for a lot of these programs. Florida has the roster to be able to do that. But will they actually pull off the turnaround? We'll see what happens. But a big step in that direction, retaining Jayden Woods last night. Then today, Florida's former quarterback, DJ Lagway, he officially committed to Baylor. This was Baylor was always in the mix, but then you heard like LSU was out there, Miami at the very beginning. Then he took that visit to FSU. He visited Louisville. He visited Virginia, but he does end up back in his home state of Texas at Baylor, where his dad went. I think it's a good move. You get to go to the Big 12, where pound for pound the defenses are not nearly as good as the SEC, and you're back in your home state. You get kind of just that fresh, new start, much less pressure at Baylor than there was at Florida for DJ. So I think it's a good mix for him. Other quarterback here, Sam Leavitt. After the LSU visit, that was the same night that Damon Williams went in the portal. That whole thing is still unfolding, but he then went on a visit to Tennessee, and he's still there. He extended that visit. He is still spending time in Knoxville. So it's really hard to say what's going on because Damon Williams, he won't be playing at Washington next year, right? That relationship is already broken. But we'll have to see what does come of the legal battle that's about to happen with that. But I do expect that Damon Williams will be at LSU and Sam Leavitt will be at Tennessee. It's a pretty big time get for the Vols. They really got in on Leavitt late in the in the cycle, but it looks like it's going to work out for him. Then another quarterback here, Marcus Stokes. He is coming up from West Florida, and if that name does sound familiar, it's because he was a blue chip recruit who was committed, I think maybe even signed to Florida, but then he got in trouble for something that he said in a video. And he had to go back down. He got his scholarship revoked. So he's been at West Florida, but he's been balling. He's a really good ball player. And I highlighted him early on in the cycle as a guy who was going to go from West Florida to probably a non-power school, and then next year probably to a power school because I think really highly of this kid. Step 1, he's going to Memphis. So Marcus Stokes will be a Memphis Tiger next year. Get ready to hear his name a lot. I think he's a really good player. I think he's going to bust onto the scene next year. Malik Blockton, an Auburn defensive lineman, he is going to LSU. So he's staying in the SEC, and he is staying a Tiger, but he will be going to play for Lane Kiffin and Blake Baker in Baton Rouge. Blockton was another one of those guys at Auburn that we talked about how Summerall retained all of Florida's sort of must retains. Alex Golesh really didn't do that at all. Auburn lost a lot of their key pieces, especially younger core talent pieces, and Blockton is one of those guys, so he's a big loss. Is Malik on that defensive front? He'll be at LSU, and Golesh has to find a way to backfill that with Auburn. Raleek Brown is finally a transfer portal win for Texas. The Longhorns signed Raleek Brown, who was Arizona State's running back last year, totaled well over 1,000 yards and multiple touchdowns this past season. The Longhorns were in the race for running backs with Isaac Brown from Louisville, Jayden Ball from Florida. Both those guys are staying put. So getting Raleek Brown is not a bad third option at all, but it's a big win for Sark just to finally get a guy coming in, establish that we are able to actually land a running back in the portal. I think Raleek Brown is a great option for that. Boo Carter, a safety from Tennessee, his name was going around a lot this year because of off-the-field problems. He wasn't playing a whole ton. He had a lot of off-the-field issues. His mom was very vocal about it online. But so he's in the portal. He's leaving Tennessee, and he was visiting Vanderbilt this week. So we'll see if his decision to try and get back at Tennessee is to come to Nashville. I'm saying come because I'm in Nashville. But to join Vandy and sort of get back at Tennessee that way. I love rivalry transfers. We actually got another one coming up here in a little bit. But Boo Carter was visiting Vandy. They are a team to watch in his recruitment. Taylor Tatum. who was the top running back in the class of 2024 coming out of high school. He was at Oklahoma this year. He is now transferring to Michigan. And I brought up how he was the top back in 2024. You haven't seen that, that profile of player really come out yet with Taylor. He's still waiting to pan out. I think you saw what Justice Haynes did with Michigan this past year. I think he's going to a good situation there to get a steady dose of carries, be in a physical offense who does like to run the football, even though you do have Underwood there. I think Taylor Tatum at Michigan is a good move for him. And then 2 former 5-star receivers hit the portal today. Quincy Porter, it was announced earlier, but today he officially entered the portal from Ohio State. He was a 5-star true freshman, and he has a do not contact tag. Now, there's a bunch of schools who are rumored to have, connections to him. I'd imagine he has his own mental list of maybe everything like 2 and 4 that he'll go to, and we will keep updating you guys on Quincy Porter's recruitment as it goes. And then Jamie French from Texas. He was a 5-star guy just a few cycles ago as well. He didn't get a whole lot of run this past year with the Longhorns, but he's incredibly talented. He's a 5-star for a reason, and he is in the portal. I would expect him to probably stay in the SEC. He had a lot of SEC schools coming after him out of high school. I think he stays in the Southeastern Conference, and he's going to make one certain team very, very happy, wherever he does end up. Another receiver here, Isiah Canion, from Georgia Tech. It was kind of thought maybe he would also be going to Florida with this slew of Georgia Tech offensive guys going to Gainesville. He's staying in the state, and he's going to play for Kirby Smart in Athens. He's going to Georgia. He was really productive. Canyon's a really good ball player, and just another one of these rivalry transfers that makes those games so much better. By Isiah Canion, if he didn't get a lot of attention on him at Georgia Tech, I think you'll see, with Gunner back for Georgia, with how efficient he's going to be, some guys like Zachariah Branch leaving that receiver room, Isiah Canion can be very productive next year for the Bulldogs. And the last guy here is Ricky Gibson, a corner from Tennessee. He is committed to Texas A&M. He's staying in the SEC. Gibson's a really good cover guy. Tennessee's defense, for all of their injuries and all their mishaps, their talent in the cornerback room was never a question. A lot of it was just hurt, right? And they didn't really have much help. But Ricky Gibson is a great cover guy. He's not afraid to tackle. He's going to be a very good fit in College Station for Mike Elko and the Aggies. If you are enjoying all this transfer portal content, or if this is your first time watching me talk about the transfer portal, please subscribe. I'm on top of it as much as I can be. There's so much action going on. I'm just trying to bring it to you guys in an easy way to understand. That also helps me understand it better, right? Because there's so much going on. You just want to have it simplified. So if you did enjoy, please subscribe. Leave me a comment. Tell me what you think. I have been Will Thomas, and thank you so much for watching this episode of Tailgate Talk SEC.